Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's going on, Moors? I wanted to do this presentation today specifically because I have some exciting information and news to share with you all. Something that's very important and pertinent to our community. Something that you all know me for and know us in Marrakesh for. So, for starters, I want to open up just by discussing the controversial topic of status correction. Okay, status correction has been something that me and my co-founder and comrade Ilamir had founded the concept of it in 2006. But because we have so many charlatans and dirty Moors and people in our community that have to be shunned, have to be put we gotta do something to clean up the community. You understand what I'm saying? This is long overdue. It's too much confusion and too much destruction that has been caused by our community that has given us a black eye in the larger Black and African American community, specifically because we have been tolerating bottom feeders in our community for far too long. Now, I have a understanding of what's going on in our community, always have. I understand that, there's a lot of damage that the larger society has done to our people. And so a lot of times we have a situation where people come into the community unreformed. And when I say unreformed, I mean the character and the business practices and some of the negative things that took place prior to them becoming members of the Moorish community hadn't been addressed. And so we have a problem where people that work and operate in bad faith have been able to get into our community and cause confusion and trouble and spread misinformation. And that's a problem. It's always been a problem. And one of the things that I'm working towards personally is creating an alliance with, even if we have ideological differences or differences on theology or differences on execution, I'm working on linking with other leaders in the Moorish community so that we can create some type of foundational system of validity and verification, because at the present, anybody could just pop up and say they're a Moor and be a part of the Moorish community. Now we know being a Moor is about lineage, it's about your descent. We understand that to a level, but we won't be able to organize effectively if we don't create barriers to entry. And you have to be and create a system to where you have to be vouched for by those who have credible statuses and are credible in the community, who are elders in the community, who have put in work in this community, who have sacrificed in this community, because our voices matter more than the people that just randomly pop up online claiming they're a sultan or claiming they're this, and all of these weird organizations that's just constantly always popping up. This is complete nonsense. Okay, this is complete nonsense, and it can no longer proliferate. Okay, so with that being said, just to give a little bit more understanding on the origin of the concept of status correction, at the time that I came into the movement, it was around 2005, 2006. Taj Tariq Bey had brought me into the community. He introduced me. Me and Elamir uh, we were brought into the community by him and RV Bey. And I know a lot of people have their complaints about them as well, but uh, it's okay to have complaints. But they are people who sacrificed a lot for this movement and for this community. So I won't be entertaining any back talk or backbiting against them. Again, even though there may be theological and ideological differences, that's where those differences begin and end. But essentially, what I have recognized is that everybody has some type of paperwork procedure. Everybody was making these different claims. Now we come into this, those of us, at that stage. I came into the community at what, 24, 25 years old. So I was in my early to mid 20s, you know, and when I came into the community, I noticed quickly that there were elders in the community, and then there were the young Moors who was getting this information and seeking to be active. Even in the Bible, it says God calls the old because they know the way, and the young because they have the strength to push, the movement or push things forward. So, when you're young, you have a lot of energy. You have a lot of fire that you want to be active in. Essentially, what end up happening is everybody, there was these elders, and they had a lot of differences amongst them. It was so many different splinter organizations. Like what happens so much in the Moorish community is people get together, they form an organization. People in the organization dislike the way the leadership is handling something, and so they break off or splinter off and start their own organization. And what this does is this keeps fragmenting our structures. Now you got some people who say, you need to join the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's our oldest Moorish American or American Moorish institution. And, it should be respected as such. So I'll never take away credit from that. But the problem with it was similar to what our people have with the church and what a lot of Muslims have with the masajids in today's era, where, you know, if the leadership isn't youthful, and it's just older folks, they have a disconnect for how to connect with the youth. And so they don't really speak to the things that the youth is desiring or the things that the youth have energy for, right? So a lot of people would go because they heard about this nationality card and, you know, what you can do with this nationality card. You know what I mean? Because the generations before me, the elder generation, they used to do a lot of things. I heard a lot of stories about Moors doing, things that people try to do now with paperwork. Those Moors were able to do it. But the system caught on. It was a lot of things that people and a lot of Moors were doing that may have been correct, but the way they were going about it wasn't conducive, and the system, worked to shut it down. Now I don't know at what point, but at some point there was like this cross pollination between the Moors and the sovereign citizens movement. So whereas a lot of Moors started picking up sovereign citizen ideology and rhetoric, and what this did, this cross pollination had a Moors focusing on commercial remedies and things like that, and then not focusing on nationality and focusing on, character, building your character up and building up your community. And so what the Moorish community ended up becoming was this place where people who were either rejected or dejected from the overall society or faces some type of legal problem or some type of, economic or financial problem, they would then seek to join the Moorish community, get some information, and then implement that information. And then they would end up, doing things that just wasn't right, and they wasn't really there for the overall benefit and progress of the community. They were just there to solve some type of problem in their life and then and then go back to doing whatever it was they were doing. So we ended up having a community full of criminals, full of impoverished people, and you know, and what ended up happening a lot of times is people was also taken advantage of by the people who claim to have knowledge. So they would do things like sell you some paperwork and then tell you, oh, you gotta research, brother. You gotta study. You know what I mean? You gotta learn how to do this and learn how to do that. And they basically was selling dreams. They were just selling concepts and ideas to people, selling wolf tickets. I'll just keep it real with you. Selling wolf tickets. And so ultimately, what that led to was a lot of issues in our community. You understand? And so what we ended up doing is we saw a lot of these things because before we even had a legal issue, and me and the brother Ilamir were going to do a review of the Moors in Court video that we had did so many that we had so many years ago that became really popular. You understand? So the point I'm making is when we chose to be a part of the movement, be a part of the community, we wanted to provide something that was going to create real benefit. And based on the things that we had knew prior to, joining the movement, and then things that we had picked up during the movement. Because one thing that we do recognize and did recognize is that legally, politically, and economically, so much had been occurring, so much had been happening to cause issues in our community, in the greater Black community, right? Things that had occurred that was stifling us, all of the economic and legal barriers that we encountered as a people. So we wanted to create something that addressed the direct needs of the people as our contribution to the community, because there were so many things that other people had did and added to the community as well. And so what we had saw was everybody was talking about nationality, right? And there were people going and getting their nationality cards, and there were people who were, doing the indigenous thing. And so what we noticed is there wasn't a systemized process in place that would allow someone to make certain corrections to their identity and have it recognized, at least in the context of it being on paperwork and in the computer of the government agencies, where you're actually recognized by the government agencies as a Moorish American. Now, there's been several people who have been able to achieve it. I'm not saying it hasn't been achieved, and there's people within the Moorish Science Temple who were skilled at a certain level, at the higher levels, had ways of getting that done as well. But there wasn't a system or process in place that allowed people to actually, get that done. And so that's what we sought to do. We sought to create a system that would allow people who are African American, Black, who wanted to acknowledge their Moorish nationality and identity, to document that in a certain way and have a repeatable process that would allow them to have that recognition in their daily lives, on the paperwork, in the computers. And when I say that, that means that, it was a lot of times where people, they would go file things, and they would do a name change or change their name. And then when they got into some type of issue, it was living like two different lives. They would be, you know, Jonathan James, and then they would be Kareem L. Bey. You understand? And when they got into something, they're telling either telling law enforcement, or they're telling the legal system or the banking system or whatever that they're Kareem L. Bey, but their records actually say that they're Jonathan James or James Jonathan. You see, so it was just a lot of stuff that just wasn't correct. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff didn't have the proper effect. And so what we sought to do was to create a system that would cancel out this double identity thing, because it was almost like Moors was living double lives. You see what I'm saying? With two different names, and it would cause conflict and confusion. And then all the system would do is just AKA you, so over the course of the issues that we had in the courts, we found out and figured out a lot about how to achieve that. And then what we did was, make that available, and that system available to other community members. And so what ended up happening is the term status correction started to get co-opted, because it's a good term. It started to get co-opted by people who weren't even claiming Moorish identity. They were more into sovereign citizenship ideology, filing UCCs and secure party creditor, and trust and estates. None of these things have anything to do with being a Moor or Moorish American or an American Moor. However, as you elevate in your identity, you have to do business and differently. You have to do business differently. So you got to elevate the way you do business. So it would be in your best interest to start learning some of the higher levels of commerce and contracting and things like that, which in many cases do include having a trust, operating through companies and being a secure party creditor and contract where it's relevant. But those things are not the same thing. And so there was a lot of convolution that was taking place, and a lot of people was using the term status correction as a way to do that. And they pretty much hijacked it. Now, we were so embroiled with establishing the Moorish identity in legal battles in courts and stuff like that, and against those who were trying to say we weren't Moors, that we didn't have time to actually correct it within the community. But when I look at it now, the term status correction is taking on an entirely new identity. It's not what we intended it to be. And so me and El Amir, we would always go back and forth about, what to do with it, because a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into it. And so from that, I decided, or we decided, to drop the term because it no longer means what we created it to be. And it's no longer being utilized as such. And it has been associated with, with negativity, which is something that is unfortunate. So what we did was create a new concept that is more encompassing of what the aim and achieve goal is supposed to be for, which is identity repair. When we're talking about reparations, we're talking about repairing something. And what needs to be repaired is our identity in terms of those who are considered Black, African American, Negro. Now, we had to walk it back on the concept of Black. We understand that, socially, Black is one thing, but legally and politically, Black is something completely different. Okay. Black is legally and politically means you're a slave, you're a criminal, etc. So we're not speaking about it in that way when I use it. But when it pertains to it being that way, we have to understand the veracity of it and the seriousness of that and realize that we have to change the application of the legal and political constraints that are placed on us by the terms Black, African American, Negro. These aren't national origins or nationalities, okay, or valid ethnicities in that regard. Even if there is some type of recognition from the government of those terms exist in a capacity to strip us of rights that are available to us under our Moorish identity. And that's why that's important. So I created something called the Moorish Identity Repair Kit, specifically because I wanted to create something that would address the issue, but also something that people could do themselves. Because we developed the process for status correction, whereas you had to join our organization to get the community recognition. And that was also based on the fact that we would be able to assist you in that process. If you had something legal going on, we could step in and help and assist you along the way with that. And that community recognition was key because there's a Supreme Court case that where this white woman wanted to be recognized as Black. And for her to be recognized as Black, she had to prove that she had standing in the Black community. So she went to a Black church, was a teacher at an all-Black school, was married to a Black man, and the community came out and they vouched for her. And then the standard for being recognized in law, as far as it pertains to the United States, as being a part of a community is based on community recognition. So, that's why we had it to the point where you can join the organization, and then upon you joining, the contract is the membership application. That's the contract. You join the organization, and then upon joining the organization, we supply you with the proper certificates or affidavits of rights. Certificates and affidavits are the same thing, essentially, but they're affidavits of rights, which establishes your Moorish Islamic rights. That was another journey too. What we started to learn is that the power of the Moorish identity didn't rest in the identity itself, but that the identity was tethered to Islam at the time before we fell due to colonization. So a lot of the rights that people were trying to access through the Moorish identity, you actually can only access that through Islam because it was Islamic law that protected the rights of Moors. And so, but I won't get into that right now. That's a topic for another time. But again, that process was expensive. It cost us thousands of dollars. It cost us to have to charge thousands of dollars to administer that process because of how lengthy the paperwork was, how much the quality of the paperwork that we had to use, paying staff, paying people to do certain aspects of different things, the research that had to go into it, the data entry. So essentially, now that technology has caught up to where we're at now, I wanted to create something that was much more affordable and something, again, that was more encompassing than just try to, change your information in the system. So again, I created something called the Moorish Identity Repair Kit, which allows individuals to do it for themselves at their own pace and at their own speed and learn in the process of doing it. And, I'm also, I'm an entrepreneur. I have been since I was 19 years old. And, I've always reskilled and add more skills to my toolkit. And so one of those skills I acquired over the last few years is being an AI solution architect, because I'm always looking for ways and things that I can add to my skill set to help me empower my community. Okay. And so upon becoming an AI solution architect, one of my primary motives and drives was, how do I take this vast system or process of status correction that we created, the processes and systems that other Moors had created that were effective, the whole entire concept of the identity, the nationality, the filing of these things, how to file it, where to file it, all of these particulars, how do we bring that together? How do we merge that and make that something that we can put into the hands of each and every person that's interested in accessing their Moorish identity? How do we do that? And to make it plain to you, this is what I came up with. Okay. So it's the Moorish Identity Repair Kit. So what we're going to do at this point is go through this, and I'm going to show you how to use it. I'm going to show you what it's for. I'm going to show you the benefits of it and why every Moor who is, and every African American, FBA, Black American, Negro, American, the indigenous brothers. And that's another thing I have to say too. It was the Moors from the Moorish community who brought the light and knowledge that we are indigenous to America to our people. In fact, Noble Drew Ali was one of the very first people to establish that we are indigenous to America. In connection with him saying that we are descendants of Moroccans born in America, he also established that we are home, and it was the European who was 3,000 miles away. You see, because that's very important, because there's arguments that's ensuing right now where people are saying that they are Indians or indigenous aboriginals and not Moors. And it's causing a lot of controversy. It's causing a lot of confusion. And quite frankly, it's just stupidity, because it was those in the Moorish community who brought that information forward to the masses of our people in the first place. Okay. So let's understand what we're looking at. What we're looking at is something monumental. Okay. This is a complete AI powered SaaS. SaaS is software as a service platform for Moorish Identity Repair, AI powered ancestry research, legal document generation, and status correction tools to start your heritage discovery journey today. So, as I said before, we want to expand the understanding and the concept of what status correction in and of itself failed to do when the charlatans got their hand on the term. We overall need to repair the identity, and that the status correction is a part of that. Correcting your status is a part of that. Now I know a lot of my more science temple brothers and some of my brothers from the masjid, because here's the thing to understand: there's something that needs to happen in our community. And what needs to happen in our community is you have those who acknowledge they are Moors, but they don't follow the deen of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and the creed and the proper Aqidah. And then we have those of us who have the proper Aqidah and do follow the deen of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, who don't follow or don't accept the Moorish identity. It's only until we merge those two. Now, when I say that, a lot of my brothers who are Moors, they say that we don't follow the ways of the Pale Arab, and I understand that, and there's a lot of confusion when it comes to what the proper creed is. However, we know that the ancient Arabs were black skinned and dark brown skinned to a wheatish tan color. You know what I mean? So uh, we're not talking about specifically the way Islam is understood today and practiced by those who are misusing it, okay, and those who have deviated or are deviants in the deen. But we also have to acknowledge that those ancient Moors that we look to, that was the creed that they were following. And most of them, and I won't go into too much detail, but most of those very same Moors that we acknowledge who ruled Andalusia, who founded Morocco, who were of the Moorish Empire, they were Ashari and Athari and Maturidi, and they were also Maliki and Fiqh. Okay, so you have to understand the Islamic sciences to really get a good understanding of what those Moors were operating under. And so the Moorish Identity Repair Kit takes into account all of your ancestry. You'll see as I lay out the tools and show you what's behind the curtains so you can understand how monumental this system is. This took me about 2.5 years to complete because it essentially was taking all of the Moorish information, all of the Moorish data, and synthesizing it into a system and utilizing AI and technology to make it so it would give you the proper results. So I'll speak more to that as I go through the website, the web app, excuse me. So again, this is a complete AI powered SaaS platform. And again, SaaS is a software as a service. So this is essentially a software that you'd be using as a service. And by putting one of my main goals for creating this tool was to make it affordable, because I got tired of seeing, personally, I don't want to have to charge brothers and sisters thousands of dollars to access something. And it's not that you're being charged to access something that's yours by nature and by birthright, but the process and the work that was put into it and the organization and having multiple people that we have to employ to do certain parts of the process is what made it expensive. You see, so you were never paying for your identity. You were paying for the labor of those who were assisting you in establishing that and taking time out of their lives to call you and guide you and be there to answer questions and file the paperwork and do the data entry and, all of these different things. Right. So my main goal in producing this was to make sure that I could create something that would be affordable to utilize and to access so that number one, they can reach as many more as is necessary. And so there's a low barrier to entry to access it. Okay. So again, it's a complete AI powered SaaS platform for Moorish identity repair, AI powered ancestry research, legal document generation, and status correction tools to start your heritage discovery journey today. Another thing I want to add to that is it's essential to associate ourselves as a community with the institutions that have been set up by the elders, even if we got to get into those institutions and kind of move some furniture around, because doing the individual process is good for yourself as an individual and for your lineage and for your family. But essentially, for us to have the weight and the power of force to actually make change in the larger society for our community, you'd have to be a part of an institution, whether that's the Moorish Science Temple, whether that's one of the indigenous tribes. I'm not endorsing them. I'm not endorsing any particular organization or group, but we do have to operate within institutions to show that we have collective power and collective unity. Okay, so I do advocate for being a part of Moorish institutions, especially those that have been established over a long period of time and those that have been proven to be beneficial to the community. Right. So that is something that I do advocate for. And I think that is very necessary for us to participate in. So this is an AI powered Moorish research. Advanced AI analysis of Moorish civil rights history with intelligent document processing and heritage verification. It does legal document generation as well, legal document generation. Generates certified affidavits, nationality documents, and identity papers with professional legal formatting. Identity repair process tracking. Guided step-by-step Moorish identity restoration workflows with progress monitoring and legal milestones. You'll see what that's all about as we begin to dig in. This is everything you need for Moorish identity recovery. From ancestry research to legal certification, our comprehensive AI-powered platform guides you through every step of reclaiming your Moorish heritage, identity repair, and securing your rightful documentation. We have it's RAG powered. Those are my tech bros understand and know what that is. But we have an AI knowledge base, vector embedded research with GPT 4.0 analysis of treaty documents and legal precedents. So basically, we're using some of the large language models, and we've trained these large language models, whether the GPT, Claude, all of the prominent ones, to you know, like when anybody who deals with AI know that when you first start dealing with it, it gives you generic information, but you have to put the proper inputs into the AI and train it over time so that it is familiar with what you're training it on. And so once you've trained it on certain data sets, then it could give you better outputs. And that's one of the things we did. We took all of our 37 Murukush books and all of as much as the information over the last 15 to 20 years that we've been collecting when it comes to the Moorish identity, Moorish history, Moorish law, all of these different things. And we trained the AI on it. And we're still adding more to the knowledge base every day as well, right? So you would notice from interacting with it if and when you guys sign up, that it's giving you the highest quality output of the Moorish information. All right. Document generation. I wanted to add a feature that made it so, because a lot of times people have problems generating documents and understand these things could be very tedious. So I wanted to put something in there that would allow you to make basic inputs and then instantly generate a particular document for you. All right. And whatever that document may be. And again, we trained the AI on all of our personal documentation, all of our templates, all of the documents that we've used over the years, so that the AI is going to give you the best output of a document that you can get. Legal strategy tools, comprehensive legal strategy planning, including estate, asset protection, and wealth management tools. I'll explain that in more detail as we go as well. What that's going to do is basically, as I said earlier, there are certain things that once you establish or understand or implement what you need for your identity, that you'll then need to elevate and upgrade the way you do other things. And so I've included the tools to do those other things as well, right? And so we have process tracking. You get a step-by-step visualizations to guide you through each document workflow. So you'll have a list, and you'll see it as we enter the website. You'll have a list of things you need to accomplish along the process. It'll show you from A to Z what you need to do. And you can check off each box once you complete it, and it will give you a progress bar and show you where you are along the process of completion. Sometimes it's nerve wracking to people, and sometimes the process can be long. And what ends up happening is people, once they start the process, they end up stopping because they either get distracted with life or they don't have the mental bandwidth to do it. And then they really don't, know where they are in the process. You see, so we did that to alleviate that problem. And so we have also notes and research. We have unlimited personal notes with rich text editing and research organization capabilities. Along with creating these tools, I wanted to create a platform, a SaaS platform that allows you to, once you log in, you have all of your research tools and information and things right in front of you, so that you don't have to pull from this place and pull from that place. You can centralize your research and centralize the information that you're gathering. So that way it makes it so you're able to keep track of everything you're learning, where it's at. You can access it. So that was important as well. Compliance and security. GDPR/CCPA compliant with content moderation, rate limits, and daily backups. So basically, we constantly have a system that's being backed up. We have the highest level of security, which means your data is being protected. It's never being shared with any third parties. It's up to the standards of Europe and America as far as the law, as well as the fact that people won't be able to like hack it and gain that, like your personal data is behind a firewall, is protected, is safe. I know that some people have created apps in the past and it's been easy for hackers to access their data. That's something that we worked heavily on before even releasing. So that's very important, because once you start doing all of this research and data, you want to know that your data is safe and protected. So, we already have people that's joining and that's already signing up. And, we have a free trial, you know, that you can start with. And there's a demo, you can schedule it as well. But something that's very, very key that I'm really proud of that we was able to produce is we created our own internal AI. It's called Moorish AI. So meet Maurice AI, your intelligent companion for Moorish identity recovery. Maurice AI combines advanced artificial intelligence with a deep knowledge of Moorish law, constitutional rights, and legal processes to provide personalized guidance on your journey to reclaiming your heritage. Because that's ultimately what this is about. It's about the process of reclaiming your heritage, especially you can see now in this climate. It's important to really start documenting your heritage and your lineage. You know, that's something in Islam where there's a reported authentic hadith that the scholars agree on, where the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, states that we need to know our lineages. Okay, so this process helps restore that for us because, again, some of us may have done that research. I know I've done the research to, establish what my lineage is, but so many people haven't. And so you want to be able to document that and start to then put that in a space and in a place where you can have that as a part of your legal identity in this society. All right. So we have intelligent document analysis, analyzes your legal documents and identity papers to provide personalized guidance and insights. And then we have legal research assistant. It helps research Moorish law, constitutional rights, and legal precedents relevant to your cases. Identity recovery guidance provides step-by-step assistance for reclaiming your Moorish nationality and heritage. And then we have a privacy first approach. Your private documents and conversations are encrypted and never shared with third parties. That's the other thing. Everything is 100% encrypted. So only you in the system knows what is actually being discussed and determined. Does it give legal advice? Only legal research and knowledge and information. You can research constitutional law and Moorish legal precedents, guide you through the identity recovery process step by step, generate legal documents and correspondence templates, and provide 24/7 support for your legal questions and concerns. And so here's the comprehensive suite for the legacy strategy planning tools. We have a complete arsenal of legal and financial and strategic planning tools designed specifically for people of Moorish descent to build, protect, and transfer generational wealth and legacy. This is the estate and wealth planning. Build and protect generational wealth with comprehensive planning tools. So on the estate planning side, will help you. The Moorish AI and the tools in the system in the SaaS platform will help you create will and testament generation, trust documents, power of attorneys, and healthcare directives. On the wealth management side, you have investment strategies and wealth preservation. And again, we've trained the system on all of this information, and specifically as it relates and pertains to Moors. So it has investment planning, tax optimization, retirement planning, and legacy preservation. And then we have asset protection, safeguard assets from creditors and legal threats. And the key features of this one is asset structuring, liability protection, offshore planning, and insurance strategies. All right. So there's a lot of different, benefits that we have available on the estate and wealth planning side. On the legal and business strategy, you navigate legal complexities and build successful business ventures. On the pro se litigation side, you have your self-representation tools and court procedures. Key features is court filings, legal research, case study, and document preparation. And then you have contracts and commerce, business agreements, and commercial law guidance, contract templates, negotiation guides, compliance tools, and dispute resolution. And then you have the entity matrix, which is business entity selection and structuring that helps you form LLCs, corporation setups, partnership agreements, and tax elections. And then we have identity and documentation. Establish and verify your Moorish identity and legal status. Identity and status, Moorish identity correction and status clarification. Key features, identity affidavits, status declarations, nationality claims, and rights assertions. And then we have document verification, authentication, and validation of legal documents, document authentication, notarization services, apostille processing, and chain of custody. And then we have forms library, essential legal forms and templates, legal templates, filing forms, affidavit templates, and notice forms. And the AI system will create these documents for you as you need it, okay, as you input what you need. And then the financial and community. And we improve financial standing and contribute to community development. We have credit repair, credit score improvement and financial rehabilitation, key features, credit analysis, dispute letters, score monitoring, and financial planning. And then we have philanthropy, strategic, charitable giving, and community impact. Key features, foundation setup, grant writing, tax benefits, and impact measurement. And religious and tribal affiliations, cultural heritage and spiritual community documentation, Moorish heritage documentation, tribal enrollment assistance, religious exemptions, and cultural preservation. So when you're ready to build your legacy, you access all these powerful tools and single membership. Start planning your family's future. Now, this is just some of the things that people in our community who have tested this system have said. These are real stories from people who successfully reclaimed their identity and heritage using this system. This platform, and this is from Marcus Johnson. This plan, and that's my guy. He's a really good identity researcher. He says this platform helped me discover my Moorish lineage and understand my treaty-based rights. The AI research capabilities are remarkable. It's from Aisha Williams. She's an advocate. She's done a lot of work in the community as well, helping people. The document generation feature saves me countless hours, professional, legal, formatted documents that hold up in court. And this is my guy, Omar Thompson. He sends me a lot of information on genealogy and stuff. He says, from genealogy research to legal documentation, this is the most comprehensive identity repair platform available. So far, we have about 5,000 documents that's been generated and active 2,000, members. So, give or take, and about a 98% success rate in terms of people that are using the platform and, are being successful in actually generating the things they need and getting results that they need. And again, sometimes, with all technology, there's like little hiccups and things that need to be fixed. So we have a support ticket system where it's always available to get some type of remedy if you run into some kind of snag in the system. And these are the plans that we have. Like I said, I wanted to make it affordable. So you get to choose your plan. You got the Explorer plan. This is free. You can test it out, and cancel anytime, no setup fees. But this is for free. You get 5 AI queries per day, 2 documents per month with a watermark, and basic educational materials access, legal disclaimer templates, and community forum access. And then we have uh, the most popular plan, which is just $25 a month. And you get 50 AI queries per day, 10 documents per month, a clean document output, basic templates library, profile data saving, priority support, and advanced educational material. And we have our custodian level membership, which is our premium, and it's $50 a month. And you get unlimited AI queries, fair use, of course, unlimited documents, all document templates, custom document templates, multi-case management, advanced ancestry research tools, priority support and training, and admin knowledge base access, which is the training materials. You get access to a certain amount of training materials that we train the AI on. Okay. And I just want to read this important legal notice. The Moorish Identity Repair Kit provides educational resources and document generation tools. This platform does not provide legal advice and no attorney-client relationship is established. All generated documents are for informational purposes. Consult with a qualified attorney for legal advice if that's something that you see, right? So that's just what we have available and in this complete entirety of explanation. Now let's go inside and see what we have. So I'm already logged in under my profile. And so, there's admin access. We won't, of course, we won't look at that. We will look at the support system, but let's go to the dashboard, right? So when we go to the dashboard, depending on what plan you have, this is what you'll see. Okay, really nice and simple, nothing too complicated. I wanted to put everything right in front of you so you don't have to, look a whole bunch of places trying to figure out what to do. So as we spoke about it before about having that process system in place, this is the identity repair process. Complete your identity repair and status correction workflow step by step. So let's take a look at what this is. So as you can see, there's 26 steps altogether, correct? So as you click each step that you complete, you can see the progress bar filling up, okay? So what this does is it puts in your hands the power to see, okay, what am I doing? What part of the process I'm at? So, of course, step A is awareness and intent. Clarify your purpose and commitment for identity repair and status correction. And so that's something that's important. Even in Islam, you have to make your intentions, right? And it's also important for your neurological process to really be clear on your intentions. And the things that's included in this step is actions required. Read the intro, confirm intent. So boom, you do that, you're good. And we know we won't go through all of them, but as you can see, there's different steps that are obviously more detailed. Excuse me. We have basic research. Study Moore's histories, treaty, laws, and your own ancestry. All right. And those actions required is reading materials and complete knowledge quiz. All right. And that's basically when you join up, you'll have certain things that you'll need to establish and collect your personal data. Gather your birth certificate, current ID, family records, and any relevant legal documents. Okay. Declare your intent, write or record your intent to correct your status and self-identify as an American more. You also have education completion, finish required readings. And again, let's just look at, when it comes to collect your personal data, you want to upload your files on the checklist and you'll have a checklist. And again, you can upload documents. I'll take you to that page in a second. So you can see clearly all of the different things that are involved. Fill out your identity repair and status correction templates, complete forms, download or print. All of those are within the system, right? So you'll be able to do that. Gather supporting evidence, collect lineage documentation, family history, and references. Okay, so again, this is the checklist progress system that lets you know if you're completing everything. So right now, just for example, this is 27% complete. All right. So as you scroll down, what you'll see is this part isn't connected yet. But one thing that I'm going to show you guys is once you join this and once you set up everything and go through MoorishIdentity.com, the community we've built is the Moorish Nation DAO. It's a digital autonomous organization. So we won't go through this right now, but this is the next phase. of the community aspect. So we have a FAQ system where, you know, be able to look at what are the frequently asked questions. Now we also have something for your ancestry research. So on the ancestry research, you can start to build your family tree. This is very key. So you can click here, it's interactive. You can add family names, the relationship, child, spouse, sibling, grandparent, grandchild, great grandparent, uncle, aunt, cousin, nephew, niece, etc. You can look at the generations, whether that's descendants and ancestors, starting from you. You have your birth date, your birthplace, your death date, your death place, marriage details, country of origin, and notes you can take. And so you can also scale it down and scale it up. So this is important, and it also shows the relationship between each other. Like here you have parent, mother, father, you. And this is essential because as you go into your lineage, you want to be able to document, your family tree. And you're also able to export this as well. You see, so you can export the actual family tree once you've filled it in. You can scale it up and scale it down, move it from left to right, etc. So that's very important. I wanted something like this available so that when you're building your family tree, it's fully interactive and you can engage it in a way where you can make the necessary changes and still keep the framework in place. Okay, that's very key to having this system available. And so we have DNA results. Now you can upload your raw DNA files and you can, depending on where you got your DNA test done, you can add it, you know, from wherever you got it from, because there's different companies out there. But you get to add your results, whether that's a family member you've done or yours, what type of test, you know, and you can just upload the file. Okay. So that was key. And then also we'd have like an ethnicity breakdown. So you can add your percentages to whatever, you know, different ethnicities that are popping up in your DNA analysis. And then we have the genetic analysis, which pretty much allows you to upload your raw DNA file, like with just the data, and it'll analyze the data for you. Now you'd have to connect it to a place like GD Match or other places that allow you to compare and contrast, but this gives you your full raw DNA analysis. And you're also able to create notes. Okay, so you can create a note, it's in rich text. So let's say if you got something from one of the Dawes roll or something that you're about your indigenous or some type of record from somewhere or whatever the case may be, you have a place where you can take notes. See, you can say something like, I have Cherokee ancestry from my mother's side. Save that note and add it. So that's a full DNA ancestry suite. Okay. Then what we have is the documents. So here you get to upload, you create your document title, what kind of category it fits into. Is it a personal document, like a birth certificate or something, or some type of legal form, identity documents, research materials, templates, court filings, historical records, and others? Because, a lot of Moors, if you've been in this space, you already have certain things that you've already, gathered. So what this does is it allows you to upload that info to the system so that it can now start to generate and train your personal interaction off of that. And, you can, put the tags on it that you need, and then you just choose the file and you upload the document. And here you generate the document. You use this to generate the document. So you can choose what type of document you want to generate, which is a certificate of Moorish identity, affidavit of status, legal notice letter, commercial agreement, public notice, declaration of status, last will and testament, and trust document. Okay. And then you get to pick the type of, document style. Is it professional standard, modern clean, classic elegant, or legal formal? And then you can customize. You can get to choose what kind of colors you want to add to the document, font you want to use, with margins, with font size, and you get to add, you know, any type of logo or image that you have. Like if you have a family crest or, your own sigil or seal, you can add that to the document as well. And you can include a header. You can add a professional header to your document, and there's some advanced features here. And we have a preview. You can generate a preview of the document. Now, this is just generic, okay? But after you input all of these things, you're able to see what type of how the document looks, and also an editor. So if you need to edit the document once you generate it, you can do that, okay? So here you can manage the document. So, for instance, these are just like example documents that I generated. You can take like a preview and you can look at it. Like I didn't put all of the inputs that were there because I just wanted to give y'all an example. But as you see, a logo placeholder, top center position, Moorish law and integrity, affidavit of Moorish minister status. I, Mansa Muhammad, born on 20th day of October, currently residing, blah, blah, blah. That's just generic. And then you can download as well. You can download it. You can export it as a PDF, export as a Word, export as a text. Okay. So that concludes the document section and what you're able to do as far as document generation. And then here's the AI, Moorish AI, right? So let's say, and you get to look at the history of chats that you generated with the AI, and you can create, new. So let's say I'm going to ask Moorish AI, what steps do I have to take to get the courts to acknowledge my new Moorish name and identity? So we'll ask it the question. It's thinking, it's generating, and we're waiting for the output. All right. And it gives you the output. And as you can see, it says, according to your private documents, the process for obtaining core recognition of your new Moorish name and identity involves several key steps. Here's a practical step-by-step outline tailored to your situation. Number one, preparation of support and documentation. Based on your private documents and specialized knowledge, affidavit of name correction change, draft and notarize an affidavit declaring your Moorish name and identity, including your ancestry status and lawful reasons for the change. You're supporting Moorish documents, gather Moorish nationality documents such as nationality cards, identification, affidavits, or documents issued by Moorish organizations if available. Certificate and existing ID, obtain certified copies of your birth certificate and current government issued identification. And your step two, do a legal name change petition. Petition for name change, prepare and file a petition with the appropriate county or state court. Clearly state your Moorish appellation and provide your affidavit as an exhibit. Notice requirements. Some jurisdictions require you to publish notice of the name change in a local newspaper. Check your local court rules for specific requirements. Court hearing, obtain a court order, update your vital records and identification and additional guidance. And here's your next steps. Prepare your affidavit and gather supporting documents, et cetera, et cetera. Source priority, step 1 and 2, according to your private documents and specialized process knowledge. Steps 3 and 5. So this is letting you know that based on what we trained the AI on based on the the Murakers documents and the Murakers books that we trained it on. This is giving you, the processes for that. So that's how you use the uh, the Maurice AI. Okay, and there's a Maurice AI in every facet of the system, as you'll come to see. So when you go to knowledge base, this is what we train the AI on. Okay. So we can look at, so this is the How Moors Challenge European Jurisdiction book. This is the Introduction to Moorish Travel Rights, the book, The African Caliphate, Status Correction Course Book 2, and the list goes on. So these are all of the things that we trained it on, and we are pretty much giving you this knowledge base for free upon using the platform. So you can go here if you have the premium membership and download all of our materials that we trained it on, right? And here's another Maurice AI assistant, and then you can manage the documents that were uploaded, all right? So our last part that we'll show is the legacy strategy. So we're going to open up the legacy strategy suite, and this is available to premium members. So as you can see, the legal strategy suite is the comprehensive legal tools and resources for Moorish identity, recovery, wealth building, and legacy planning. So as you can see, we got estate planning, philanthropy, wealth management, pro se litigation, contracts and commerce, forms library, credit repair, identity and status, document verification, entity matrix, religious and tribal affiliations, and asset protection. So for instance, and if you need guidance, you can get answers to common questions about legacy planning and strategy from here. If you click on here, it'll show you for each strategy, what's involved and what are the steps. So for philanthropy, you want to know, how can I structure charitable giving to maximize community impact and personal benefit? And so it gets into it, structuring charitable giving for maximum impact, set giving goals, setting up trusts and foundations, aligning with Islamic Moorish principles, tax benefits and legal requirements, identity and status. It goes into those things. So that's key to understand that we have that available. So let's look into one of the tools. Let's go to estate planning. When you go to any of one of the strategy plans, you'll see that there's something for generate documents, right? Private documents that you can upload. You'll have an AI assistant, right? So you'll also have a place to take notes. So within all of your estate planning needs, you don't have to go outside of it. You can keep everything directly located here. Okay. So you can generate documents for your estate planning. You can uh, upload private documents that are relevant to your estate planning. And you can have access to Maurice AI to guide you through, any questions, any things that you have. And you have notes that you can take. Okay. So, and the same goes for all of these. As you can see for commerce, contracts and commerce, same thing. All right. Same thing. So, yeah, I just wanted to basically show you guys what that was all about. What are the benefits of it and why you should access this tool that we've developed called MoorishIdentity.com, AI-powered SaaS platform, software as a service platform for the Moorish community. And I get so many people that come to me and say, yo, I want to go through the process. I want to, how do I go through the process? And, this is it. It doesn't take thousands of dollars. It's affordable. $25 to $50 a month is all you need. And again, there's no long-term contract. You use it as you need it. Okay. And what that does is this puts the power in your hand, and it removes the need to depend on bad faith actors or people who either trying to scam you or people who really not going to help you throughout the process. So again, I take this community very serious. I take what I do very serious. I do a lot of things outside of the community in my professional life, but this is something that I wanted to do as a solution and as an ultimate labor of love and benefit for the community so that we can be done with the problems that pervade the community when it comes to people that's trying to, get this identity thing situated and get their status corrected and get their identities repaired. All right. So this is my personal contribution to the community. This is definitely something that is a part of the legacy. And I hope you all enjoyed the presentation. I hope you all used the tool because it was created for that purpose. So without further ado, I want to say Assalamu alaikum, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, sign up.